The lamps went out. One moment, the village square glowed with celebration, music filling the air as Amara stood in her wedding dress, radiant and hopeful. The next moment, darkness swallowed everything. Screams erupted. Amara felt hands pushing her, hard. She stumbled, her dress tearing. When the lamps flickered back on, she was on the ground, humiliated before everyone. Her Aunt Iola rushed forward, crying dramatically, "Oh, my poor niece, who would do such a terrible thing?" But as Iola helped her up, Amara caught something in her aunt's eyes. Not concern, not love, something cold, something satisfied. The guests whispered, some laughed behind their hands. Amara's new husband looked confused, embarrassed. Her wedding night, the happiest moment of her life, had turned into a nightmare. As the crowd dispersed, an old woman, Mama Tola, brushed past Amara and whispered urgently, "Your aunt's tears are false, child. The darkness she brought will return. Be ready." Amara's heart pounded. What did that mean? She looked back at Iola, who was still dabbing her eyes with a cloth, performing grief for the remaining guests. But when Iola thought no one was watching, Amara saw it. A smile. Small. Cruel. Victorious. Amara couldn't sleep that night. Mama Tola's warning echoed in her mind. She kept seeing that smile on Iola's face, the one that vanished the moment anyone looked her way. The next morning, Iola arrived at Amara's new home with a basket of fruits. "My dear child," she cooed, embracing Amara tightly, "I was so worried about you last night. That terrible accident, but thank the ancestors you weren't badly hurt." Accident? Amara remembered those hands pushing her. They weren't accidental. They were deliberate, strong, purposeful. "Iola," Amara began carefully, "did you see who pushed me?" Iola's face showed perfect concern. "Pushed? Oh no, dear, you simply tripped in the darkness. Your dress caught on to something. These things happen at crowded celebrations." But Amara knew better. She'd felt those hands. Later that afternoon, she visited Mama Tola's small hut near the river. The old woman was grinding herbs, her movements slow and deliberate. "You came," Mama Tola said without looking up. "Good. Sit down, child." Amara sat. "What did you mean last night about my aunt?" Mama Tola finally looked at her, eyes ancient and knowing. "Your aunt's love is a mask, Amara, a beautiful mask hiding an ugly heart. And soon, very soon, that mask will fall." Iola had always been the village's favorite. Everyone praised her generosity, her kindness to her orphaned niece, her gentle spirit. When Amara's parents died 5 years ago, drowning mysteriously in the river during a storm, Iola had taken her in without hesitation. "Of course I'll care for her," Iola had announced publicly. "She's my beloved sister's child. I'll love her as my own daughter." The villagers had wept at such devotion. They'd brought gifts to honor Iola's sacrifice. She'd accepted them all with humble tears, clutching Amara close. But in their home, away from watching eyes, Iola was different. Never cruel enough to leave marks, never harsh enough to raise suspicions, just cold, distant, always watching Amara with those calculating eyes. Now, as Amara swept the compound, she noticed Iola talking to a servant, whispering urgently. The servant nodded, glanced at Amara, then left quickly. Amara's stomach tightened. What was her aunt telling her husband? That evening, Chuku was distant at dinner, cold. He barely spoke to her. When Amara asked what was wrong, he simply shook his head and left the room. Something was happening, something Iola had started, and Amara had no idea how to stop it. Amara found an unexpected ally in Kimi, a young woman who sold fabrics in the village market. They'd known each other as children, but Kimi had always kept a distance from Iola's household. "I don't trust your aunt," Kimi admitted one morning as they walked to fetch water. "I've watched her for years. The way she looks at you when she thinks no one notices, there's something wrong there." Relief flooded through Amara. Finally, someone who saw it too, someone who believed her. My husband has been cold to me since the wedding. I think Iola sent him a message, but I don't know what it said. Kimi's face darkened. Your aunt is clever. She plants seeds of doubt quietly, a whisper here, a suggestion there, until everyone believes the lies without remembering where they came from. But why? Amara's voice broke. Why would she want to hurt me? I'm her niece, her family. Some people, Kimi said carefully, are poisoned by envy. They see happiness in others and it burns them like fire. Your beauty, your kind heart, your new marriage, all of it reminds her of what she doesn't have. What should I do? Kimi gripped her hand. Be watchful. Trust no one completely except those who've proven themselves. And Amara, whatever you do, don't confront her directly. Not yet. She has the village's love. You'll only make yourself look jealous or ungrateful. 3 days later, disaster nearly struck. A servant brought a special meal to Chuku, a stew prepared by Iola as an apology gift for the wedding night incident. Your aunt made this with love, the servant explained. She wants to bless your marriage. Something made Amara uneasy. She watched Chuku lift the spoon to his lips. Wait, the word burst from her mouth before she could think. Chuku paused, startled. What's wrong? Amara didn't know how to explain the instinct screaming inside her. Please, let me taste it first, to make sure it's still hot enough. Before he could argue, she took the spoon and sipped. The taste was normal, nothing strange. But as she swallowed, a strange numbness spread across her tongue. It's fine, she said quickly, setting down the spoon. But her head began to swim. The room tilted. Amara? Chuku caught her as she swayed. What's happening? The stew, she whispered. Don't eat it. He stared at the bowl, understanding slowly dawning. Then he shouted for help. Later, after the healer made Amara vomit and gave her herbs to counter the poison, Chuku held her hand tightly. Your aunt sent that food, he said quietly. Why would she do this? Amara couldn't answer. She was too weak. But through the window, she saw a figure standing in the shadows across the compound, Iola, watching. And when their eyes met, her aunt smiled. Amara waited until Iola left the house before searching. Her hands shook as she moved through her aunt's room, looking for anything, any proof of what she already knew in her heart. She found them hidden beneath loose floorboards, letters, dozens of them. Some in Iola's handwriting, others received from people Amara didn't recognize. Her breath caught as she read. The girl gets more beautiful each day. Everyone compares me to her now. I'm tired of living in her shadow. If her marriage succeeds, I'll have nothing. She'll be happy while I remain alone, forgotten. I must act before it's too late, before she takes everything that should have been mine. The letters went back years, some written before Amara's parents even died. Plans, schemes, ways to diminish Amara's reputation without raising suspicion. And then Amara found the most chilling letter of all, dated 1 week before her parents' deaths. The storm is coming. Everything will change soon. And when it does, I'll finally have what I deserve. Amara's hands trembled so badly the letter fell. Had Iola caused the storm? Had she murdered Amara's parents? A footstep creaked behind her. Amara spun around. One of Iola's servants stood in the doorway, eyes wide with shock. You shouldn't be in here, the servant whispered. Then she turned and ran. Iola confronted Amara that evening in front of the household servants. Her voice was gentle, wounded, perfect. My dear child, she said, tears gathering in her eyes. I heard you were searching through my private things. Why would you do such a thing? Don't you trust me? All eyes turned to Amara. The servants looked at her with disappointment. How could she violate her aunt's privacy after everything Reby had done for her? I found letters, Amara said, trying to keep her voice steady. Letters that say terrible things about me. Letters that suggest you wanted to hurt me. Ayola's face showed perfect shock. Letters? What letters? I keep only correspondence with friends and distant relatives. Perhaps you misunderstood something. You wrote that I was taking things from you, that you needed to act before it was too late. Oh, my dear confused child, Ayola approached, taking Amara's hands in hers. Her grip was tight, painful. I wrote to a friend about my own insecurities, about feeling old and lonely while watching you blossom into a beautiful woman. Surely you can understand such feelings. They're natural. They don't mean I wish you harm. The servants nodded. It made sense to them. A lonely woman's private fears, nothing more. But the poison, Amara began, was meant for the rats, Ayola interrupted smoothly. A tragic accident. Thank the ancestors you recovered. Amara pulled her hands free. Ayola leaned close, her voice dropping to a whisper only Amara could hear. You'll never have what's rightfully mine, child. Never. The Festival of Masks arrived, a celebration where everyone wore elaborate disguises representing animals, spirits, or ancestors. The entire village gathered in the square, dancing and feasting. Ayola wore a beautiful peacock mask, shimmering with blue and green feathers. She moved through the crowd gracefully, praising Amara loudly to anyone who would listen. My beloved niece, isn't she radiant? I'm so proud of the woman she's become. People smiled and nodded. Ayola's generosity seemed boundless. But Amara, wearing a simple dove mask, noticed something strange. Throughout the evening, Ayola kept exchanging glances with a tall man in a leopard mask. They never spoke directly, but their silent communication was clear. Hand signals, subtle nods, a language only they understood. Kemi appeared at Amara's side. Do you see that man, the one your aunt keeps looking at? Yes. Who is he? Nobody knows. He arrived 3 days ago, claims to be a traveling merchant, but I've never seen him sell anything. As the night deepened, Amara watched Reby slip away from the celebration. The leopard man followed moments later. They disappeared into the darkness beyond the lamplight. Amara's heart raced. She had to know what they were planning. Against Kemi's whispered protests, Amara followed them into the shadows. She crept behind market stalls and compound walls, following the sound of their voices. Finally, she found them near the river, hidden by tall grass. She crouched low, listening. Everything arranged? Reby asked. Yes, the man replied. It will happen at the lamp festival. No one will suspect you. The next morning, a wandering herbalist named Baba Ogun arrived at the market. He was ancient, his face mapped with wrinkles, his eyes clouded with age, but somehow still sharp. He set up a small mat displaying dried roots, powders, and carved talismans. Most villagers ignored him. Traveling healers were common, and few trusted strangers completely. But when Amara passed his mat, he called out, Child of sorrow, child of light, stop. I have something for you. Amara hesitated. She'd never seen this man before. How did he know to call her? Come closer, Baba Ogun urged. The shadows around you grow darker each day. You need protection. Against her better judgment, Amara approached. What do you mean? The old man studied her face carefully. You carry a heavy burden. Someone close to you wishes you harm. Someone who smiles while sharpening knives. Amara's breath caught. My aunt? I don't speak names, but I see the truth in your eyes. He reached into his couch and pulled out a small leather charm on a cord. Strange symbols were carved on its surface. Wear this. It will protect you when darkness comes. And darkness is coming soon. I don't have money. I don't want money. He pressed it into her palm. Just promise you'll trust what it shows you. That night, Amara hung the charm around her neck. It felt warm against her skin.
As she drifted to sleep, the charm began to glow faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat in the darkness. Amara's wedding trousseau, containing all her finest clothes, jewelry, and gifts, was being transported to Chukwu's family home for a traditional ceremony. The items traveled in a decorated canoe down the river, accompanied by singing women. Iola had insisted on helping organize the transport. "Let me handle this, dear child. It's the least I can do to honor your marriage." But as the canoe reached the middle of the river, something went wrong. The women's singing turned to screams. The canoe tilts dangerously, water pouring in. Amara, watching from the riverbank, saw her precious belongings sliding towards the water. Everything her parents had saved for her, everything meant for her new life. Without thinking, she kicked off her shoes and dove in. The current was stronger than she expected, pulling at her clothes, dragging her down. But she reached the canoe and began pulling items to safety, swimming them to shore one by one. The other women helped, but by the time they finished, Amara was exhausted and shivering. Reby appeared, wringing her hands dramatically. "Oh, what a tragedy! Who could have known the canoe had a hole? Thank the ancestors you saved most of your belongings." But Kemi, who had been watching, whispered to Amara later, "That canoe was inspected this morning. It was perfect. Someone made that hole after the inspection." That night, Amara stood on her porch, staring at the moon. The charm around her neck grew warm, and in the distance, near the river, she saw a figure, Iola, standing alone in the moonlight, whispering something that sounded like prayers or curses.
Kemi arrived at Amara's home before dawn, breathless and frightened. "I heard something last night. Your aunt was talking to that leopard man from the festival." "What did they say?" "They're planning something. Your aunt is going to hide something valuable in your home, then accuse you of stealing it. She wants to destroy your reputation." Amara felt ice in her veins. What should I do? Watch everything. Trust no one. That afternoon, Amara cleaned her home thoroughly, checking every corner, every hiding place. She found nothing. As evening fell, she noticed movement outside. Through the shutters, she saw Iola watching the house intently, waiting. The charm around Amara's neck grew hot, a warning. Suddenly, Amara understood. Iola was waiting for her to leave. Amara sat by the window, making herself visible. She wouldn't leave tonight. Hours passed. Finally, frustrated, Iola disappeared, but Amara knew this was only a delay. The village elders called a gathering. Everyone assembled under the great tree, curious about the urgent summons. Baba Okonkwo spoke with a voice carrying generations of wisdom. "We have noticed discord. Envy has begun to spread like poison. When envy takes root, it destroys families, entire communities." The crowd murmured agreement. "What appears beautiful may hide rot beneath. Judge slowly, trust actions more than words." Amara felt hope stir. Were the elders seeing the truth? But Baba Okonkwo continued. "We also warn against false accusations. Some spread whispers about their own family. This too destroys our peace." Amara's hope crumbled. The elders thought she was the problem. After the gathering, Iola embraced Amara publicly. "We must put aside these misunderstandings." Amara saw Iola whisper to an elder. The elder looked at Amara with disapproval. "What did you tell them?" Iola smiled. "Only that you've been struggling with jealousy. They understand." That night, Amara stood in her compound when she saw it, a falling star blazing across the darkness. Falling stars were powerful omens in her village, signs from ancestors, opportunities for wishes. Amara closed her eyes and wished, "Let the truth be revealed. Let everyone see what Iola really is." The star disappeared. The charm pulsed warmly. Across the village, Iola watched the star fall. Instead of wishing, she felt something new, unease. She'd been so careful, every plan executed perfectly. The village loved her. So why did that star feel like a warning?
She touched the amulet beneath her wrapper, given by the leopard man. It was supposed to ensure success. But for the first time, Iola wondered if she'd gone too far. She pushed the doubt away. The lamp festival was approaching, one final plan, and Amara would be ruined forever. Still, as she returned inside, Iola glanced back at the sky, searching for another star. But the heavens had gone dark. The village prepared for a harvest feast. Every family contributed food, creating a massive communal meal. Iola volunteered to prepare the main stew. "Let me do this. It's my honor to serve our community." The villagers praised her generosity. But Kemi came to Amara the morning of the feast. "I overheard the leopard man. He said something about the soup will do its work. Your aunt is planning something terrible. What can we do? If people get sick, she'll blame you somehow." Amara thought quickly. She couldn't accuse without proof, but she couldn't let innocent people be poisoned. At the feast, Amara approached the serving area. "Aunt Iola, let me serve the first bowl to you to honor your hard work." Villagers nodded approvingly. "Oh, I couldn't," Iola began. "Please, I insist." Amara offered the bowl. Iola stared at it. Everyone watched. But she couldn't eat. Amara saw fear in her aunt's eyes. Later, dogs fed leftover soup became violently ill. People began to wonder. Before Iola could make an excuse, a child pushed through the crowd holding something shiny. "Auntie Amara, look what I found." It was Amara's mother's necklace, missing for weeks. "Where did you get that?" Amara asked, kneeling down. The boy grinned. "I found it hidden under the baobab tree roots. It was wrapped in cloth. Is it yours?" Amara took the necklace, hands trembling. This had been stolen, not lost. "Who told you to look there?" Kemi asked gently. "Nobody. I was playing and found it by accident." Amara looked at Iola, whose face had gone pale. "Aunt, did you know about this?" "How would I know? Perhaps it fell from the canoe and someone found it." But her voice was too high. People began to whisper. Iola never ate her soup. She claimed she'd already eaten. The leopard man disappeared entirely. Later, dogs fed leftover soup became violently ill. Though no one said it aloud, everyone began to wonder. They began to remember other strange incidents. Amara searched her aunt's house again, waiting until Iola attended a council meeting. She found an old letter, yellowed with age, written in shaky handwriting. "Dear Iola, your sister has always been favored. She is beautiful, beloved. You live in her shadow. But poisoning her mind with jealousy is beneath you. Be the better person." It was signed by their grandmother, written when both sisters were young. Amara found more letters. Their grandmother had tried to counsel Iola, to help her overcome jealousy. The final letter was written before their grandmother died. "Iola, I fear for your soul. Envy has consumed you. You see your sister only as an enemy. Remember, what you do in shadows will be revealed in light." Amara sat overwhelmed by sadness. Her aunt's cruelty hadn't started with her. It began decades ago, a seed planted in childhood. For a moment, Amara felt pity. Her aunt had wasted her life consumed by envy. But pity didn't erase the danger. Iola was still planning something, and Amara had to stop her. The opportunity came during a ceremony honoring successful harvests. Each family would present their best produce, and elders would bless the hardest workers. Iola had prepared for weeks, growing enormous yams and perfect cassava. She'd been telling everyone she would win the blessing. But the morning of the ceremony, Amara noticed something. Iola's prize yams looked perfect outside, but small holes dotted their surfaces. Insects had eaten them from within. Iola discovered it moments before presentation. Her face went white. She turned to Amara immediately. "You did this out of jealousy." People gathered around, concerned. But Kemi stepped forward. "That's impossible. Amara has been at my house for 3 days, helping with my sister's wedding. She hasn't been near your garden." Other women confirmed it. Iola had no response. An elder examined the yams. "These have been rotting for weeks. Perhaps you should have checked earlier." Coming after other incidents, people saw it differently. Iola, who seemed perfect, suddenly looked careless. Another family received the blessing Reby wanted. The elders called for formal dispute resolution. Too many strange incidents had occurred. The village needed clarity and peace. Both women were summoned before the council under the great tree. The entire village gathered to witness. Baba Okonkwo spoke first. "We have heard whispers and seen discord. Today, both of you will speak honestly." Iola went first, voice trembling. "Honored elders, I have only tried to love my niece, but she's grown resentful, jealous of my standing. She makes wild accusations and spreads lies." The elders listened carefully. Then Amara spoke, voice steady. "Honored elders, I accuse my aunt of poisoning my food, sabotaging my marriage, stealing my belongings, and attempting to poison the village feast. I have found letters proving her jealousy. I ask you to investigate thoroughly." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Do you have these letters?" Baba Okonkwo asked. Amara's heart sank. When she went to retrieve them, they were gone, stolen. "They've been stolen," she said quietly. Iola smiled sadly. More fantasies, more lies. The elders looked uncertain. Without proof, how could they judge? Then Mama Tola stood. "I have something to say." All eyes turned to Mama Tola as she walked to the center. Her aged voice carried unexpected strength. "I have known Iola since childhood. I knew her sister, Amara's mother. There was always jealousy, always competition, but it was Iola's jealousy." Iola's face tightened. "You're old with failing memories. My memory is sharp enough to remember the day before Amara's parents died. I saw you at the river that morning, Iola. You were speaking with a weather priest, a man known for calling storms. You paid him something." The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. "That's ridiculous," Iola shouted. "I went to fetch water, nothing more." But her voice had lost its confidence. Mama Tola continued. "The storm that night was unlike any natural storm. It appeared suddenly, struck viciously, and disappeared quickly, and only one canoe was destroyed." Tears streamed down Amara's face. She'd always known, deep inside. "Furthermore, I know Iola suffers from an illness she's hidden for years. She fears dying alone while Amara thrives. That fear drives her cruelty." Iola's mask cracked completely. "You know nothing about my pain." And in that moment of rage, she revealed everything. That night, Amara held the charm close and whispered, "Show me the truth." The charm grew hot. Then she heard a voice speaking into her mind. "Go to the forest, seek the shrine of truth. The spirits will guide you." Amara had heard stories of the forest shrine, a sacred place where ancestors spoke to the brave. It was forbidden to go alone at night, but she had no choice. She wrapped herself in dark cloth and slipped out. The path was overgrown and dark. Strange sounds echoed, animal calls, rustling leaves. Fear tried to stop her, but she pushed forward. Finally, she reached a clearing where ancient stones formed a circle. In the center, a small fire burned eternally. Amara knelt. "Ancestors, I seek your wisdom. My enemy is strong. I need to know how to defeat her without becoming like her." The fire flared. Shapes moved within the flames. Voices whispered. Then one voice came clear. "Truth needs no weapon. Light reveals all shadows. Wait for darkness, then bring the light. The guilty will expose themselves." The village buzzed with preparation for the lamp festival. Every household crafted beautiful lamps from clay, filling them with palm oil. Iola volunteered to organize the main ceremonial lamps in the village square. "Let me ensure everything is perfect," she'd insisted. The elders agreed. But Amara watched her aunt carefully. She saw her aunt speaking with the leopard man again, examining the lamps with suspicious attention. Kemi pulled Amara aside. Whatever she's planning involves those lamps. The spirits told me to wait for darkness, then bring light. I think I understand now. How will you do that? I don't know yet, but I need to prepare. Amara spent 2 days quietly gathering supplies, extra palm oil, spare wicks, flintstones. She recruited young children, teaching them a game. When I give the signal during the festival, light small torches from the eternal fire and run through the village. Can you do that? The children agreed enthusiastically. On the festival eve, Amara visited Mama Tola. Ever happens tomorrow, thank you for speaking the truth. Mama Tola gripped her hand. The ancestors are with you. Trust the light within you. The charm pulsed steadily, like courage itself. The festival day arrived. The village came alive with preparation. Children ran excitedly. Men erected decorations and positioned ceremonial lamps. Amara dressed carefully in her mother's finest wrapper. She wore her mother's necklace openly. It felt like armor. As evening approached, people gathered in the square. The ceremonial lamps stood ready, arranged in beautiful patterns. When lit, they would create images of ancestral symbols. Iola moved through the crowd, accepting compliments. She looked radiant, confident, but Amara noticed her aunt kept glancing towards the main lamp at the center. Amara had examined that lamp earlier. The oil inside smelled wrong. Something had been added. Chikui stood beside her. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. I was blind. You believe me now. That's what matters. As evening fell, the ceremony began. Baba Okonkwo approached the central lamp, holding a lit taper. The village held its breath. But as the flame touched the lamp's wick, something happened. The oil erupted in a massive flash, not burning steadily, but exploding outward. The flame caught wrong, spreading dangerously. Chaos erupted.
The flash blinded people momentarily. In the confusion, someone knocked over the main lamp. Other lamps toppled in a chain reaction. Suddenly, the square was plunged into complete darkness. Every lamp extinguished at once. Screams filled the air. People pushed and stumbled. Children cried. In the darkness, Amara felt hands grabbing her roughly, trying to shove her toward danger. She heard Iola's voice close, whispering viciously, "This is the end for you. Tonight, you'll be blamed for everything." But Amara had prepared. She knew exactly where she stood. She knew where her helpers waited. She shouted, "Now! Light the torches, now!" From all corners, children burst forward carrying small torches lit from the eternal fire. Dozens of them, flooding the darkness like falling stars. Light returned, but not the expected ceremonial light. This was chaotic, revealing, showing everything. And in that sudden illumination, the village saw the truth. Iola stood over a container of oil, pouring it onto the ground, trying to create more chaos. The leopard man was beside her, holding tools for sabotage. But more damning, on Iola's face was pure hatred, twisted and ugly, no longer hidden. Everyone saw it, the true face she'd been concealing for years. "You!" Baba Okonkwo's voice thundered. "Iola, what are you doing?" Time seemed to freeze. Iola stood exposed, her image shattered instantly. She looked around desperately, searching for escape, but there was nothing. No more lies would work. The charm around Amara's neck blazed with light, brighter than any lamp. The villagers gasped, seeing the mystical glow. It pointed at Iola like an accusing finger. "The spirits themselves bear witness," Mama Tola declared. Amara stepped forward, voice steady. "My aunt has deceived you for years. She killed my parents. She poisoned my food. She sabotaged the feast. Tonight, she tried to cause chaos so terrible that someone would die and I would be blamed." "Lies!" Iola shrieked, but her voice was powerless. Kami brought forward the letters. "I took these from her house. They prove everything." Villagers began speaking up. A servant admitted Iola paid him to spread rumors. The healer confirmed the feast soup was poisoned. A farmer revealed Iola purchased weather magic years ago. The evidence mounted like stones. The leopard man tried to run, but young men caught him. Under questioning, he confessed everything. Iola fell to her knees. She had everything. My sister had everything. And this girl would have everything too, while I had nothing. The village elders convened immediately, their judgment swift and final. Iola, Baba Okonkwo pronounced, his voice heavy with sadness, "You have brought shame upon yourself and this village. You have murdered, stolen, lied, and endangered innocent lives. You are hereby banished. You will leave at dawn and never return. Your property will be given to Amara, its rightful owner." Iola didn't protest. She simply sat in the dirt, all fight drained. Years of envy had consumed her, leaving an empty shell. The leopard man received the same sentence. Both would be escorted to the border. As the judgment concluded, the ceremonial lamps were properly lit. Light flooded the square, beautiful and pure. Amara stood at the center, surrounded by her husband, her friends, and villagers who now understood the truth. They approached one by one, apologizing, praising her courage, blessing her strength. Mama Tola embraced her. "Your mother would be so proud. You faced darkness and brought light." Chuku held Amara's hand tightly. "I will spend my life making up for my blindness." As the festival continued, Amara removed the charm from her neck. It had stopped glowing. She looked at it, remembering everything. Then she whispered to the night, "True kindness always shines through darkness, and truth will always find the light." The charm crumbled to dust, carried away by the wind. Its magic was complete, and Amara, finally free, stepped fully into her own light.